Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, June 14th. There's a little over 500 albums coming out this week. I got 12 on my list for today. There's a bunch of links down below. You got links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, there's a little over 500 albums coming out this week. Only going to talk about 12 on the show though today, so if there's something I don't talk about, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing this week. And like always, if you're unable to find these in your local brick and mortar stores, they should all be available online. I'll put links down below in the comment section for them. There's a lot of new releases this week, but there's only one that I've got on pre-order. It's this first one. This is Bruce Springsteen, Born in the U.S.A., released back in 1984. It was his 7th studio album. It's a 40th anniversary release. Going to run you about $33 online. I know there's a translucent red version, which looks like that's going to be the version that's available through like online retailers. And then there's also a clear version. Looks like that's going to be the version that's going to be available through all your local record stores. This is a huge album when it was first released. I remember, so I was this is 84, so I was like 5 years old when this came out. So it was, but I remember this album when it, like the first year and a half that it was out, it was absolutely everywhere. Even as a little kid, I remember that it was like this album and Thriller were like the first two albums I remember listening to. There were 7 top 10 singles off this album. It would sell over 17 million copies worldwide. Like I said, absolutely huge album. I'm really interested to check this album out and kind of compare this to the original pressing that I have. This one comes with a gatefold jacket, which I'm not sure if it's been in a gatefold jacket before. Also comes with new liner notes. There's a lithograph that comes with it. Like I said, I got this one on pre-order. Interested in checking this one out this week. And then you've also got the new album from the Decemberists coming out. As It Ever Was, So It Will Be Again. It's their 9th studio album. It's a 2 LP release. Going to run you about $35 online. There's a black version of this, and then there's an opaque fruit punch version. Some of the names they give these colors absolutely kills me, but it's like a darker or a purplish kind of color. That's going to be your indie exclusive version. It's their first album in 6 years. It's the longest stretch the band has ever had without releasing new music. If you're unfamiliar with the Decemberists, they're an indie folk rock band, but they've got elements of alternative rock in there. I think there's elements of progressive rock in there. Some cool stuff throughout their career. I wasn't a huge fan of their last album. I really like the first single off the new album. I think it's called Burial Ground. I like that one, so I'm definitely interested in checking this one out this week. Next album looks like a pretty cool release, but I'm surprised I haven't heard more about it over the last couple of weeks. This is Paul McCartney Wings, One Hand Clapping. So this was recorded back in August of 74. It's a 2 LP release. It's going to run you about $38 online. Originally, this was all intended to be a documentary that the band put together. So they got in the recording studio August of 74. Over 4 days, they recorded all this live in the studio. And then, I'm not sure why, for one reason or another, they ended up shelving the project. The documentary itself was never released. It ended up being released in, I think it was 2010, in the Band on the Run box set. I haven't seen the documentary, haven't heard anything off of this either. This has been bootlegged a bunch of times over the years also, but finally getting an official release this week. So what's different between all those bootlegs and the documentary and what's coming out this week is this release has 12 additional tracks that wasn't in the documentary. So, this, like I said, be a cool release. I'm definitely going to check this out this week. It's all newly remastered. I'm not the biggest fan of Wings, but I do love a couple of their albums. So, like I said, I'll definitely check this one out. And then you've also got the latest album from Say Anything, Is Committed. So this was released back in May, digitally. I guess it's more than digitally. It was released digitally, and there was one vinyl version that was available through Say Anything's website. That got released. But it was super limited. Finally, this week, it's getting a full release. This is going to run you about $30 online. It's their 9th studio album. It's a 2 LP release. There's a standard black version of this, and then there's also a black marble version. Black marble version is going to be the indie exclusive. So this is their first album. I think it was 5 years ago that they released their last album. When they released their last album, the band said that was going to be their final album for now, or for the time being, or something along those lines. They made it sound like the future of the band was up in the air. And then that was kind of it. And then they just dropped this album earlier this year. I didn't even hear anything about this album before it came out. But if you're unfamiliar with Say Anything, they're an alternative rock band. it kind of this like indie kind of sound to it. There's definitely like some emo influence on there. There's some pop punk influence. I know they get lumped in with a lot of other pop punk bands from like the early part of the 2000s, but I don't really classify them that way. I think they're more of like an alternative rock band. They got some cool stuff. I wasn't a big fan of their last album. I listened to a couple of tracks off this new one, and it sounds really good. It sounds like it's some of their catchier, some of the more catchier songs that they've had over the last, several albums. But I'll definitely stream the rest of it and check it out this week. Next album is from a band that I think has largely kind of flown under the radar the last several years, but this is Stand Atlantic, Pink Elephant. This was released back in 2020. It was their second studio album. It's going to be on light blue vinyl. It's going to run you about $24 online. If you're unfamiliar with these guys, they are an Australian pop punk band. I saw them open for, I think it was Mod Sun I saw them open for last year. I was really impressed with them. I went down to their merch stand. Of course, all their records had sold out by that time. And I went on Discogs, and like this album was like $60 or $70 on there. So I've been waiting for this one to get reissued. If you're a fan of Paramore, I think it's a really good band to kind of compare them to. You might like this band. Definitely check them out if you're unfamiliar with them. So you got that one coming out this week, and then you got Enough's Enough, the 1987 demos coming out. It's gonna run you about $24 online. This has to be one of the sloppier releases I think I've ever seen get released. So you've got a pink vinyl version that's coming out this week. There's a green version that's coming out next week. There's a black version that's coming out the week after that. And then 2 weeks ago, the CD and the vinyl version came out. So, like, they're releasing several versions over like a whole month span. It's really kind of weird. I'm not really sure why they're doing it that way, but this is all the demos from 1987 that would eventually end up being their self-titled album from 1989. Of course, known for Fly High Michelle. There's a couple other songs on there they had some moderate success with, but I think Fly High Michelle was the big track that was on that one. So I'm definitely interested to see like how these early versions of these songs end up turning into what was on that album. You also got the second self-titled album from Seal getting reissued this week. This came out back in 1994. It was his second studio album. That's the thing I didn't realize is both of his first two albums were both called Seal, but they're 3 years apart. It's going to be a 2 LP release. It's going to run you about $33 online, celebrating its 30th anniversary. So what you're getting in this, so this is all newly remastered, and then there's also a bunch of extras you're getting in here. There's going to be alternate mixes, there's unreleased tracks, there's covers on here. Also going to be available in a 2 CD, 1 Blu-ray set. There's one big track off here, at least one big track that I remember, and that's Kiss from a Rose. Really helped push that album up to number 15 on the Billboard 200. But outside of that one track, I'm not really sure if I've ever listened to anything else off of this album. So I'll definitely stream that one and check it out this week. And then I was a little disappointed in this next one. But this next one is Onyx, Ghetto Anthems. This is going to run you about $28 online. There's a black version. There's also a red version that's going to be available. So this is a new release. And I was initially excited for this release because Onyx is one of those bands that I could definitely do with just a greatest hits compilation, and I thought that's what this was. And then when I started reading down through here, it says these tracks are revamped and supercharged, which makes me think that they're all re-recorded. So this is going to be available on streaming services. I'll stream it and check it out this week. All the best tracks from Onyx are going to be on this one. So, like I said, I'll stream it and check it out and see how this one sounds. The next album is kind of a cool release because I don't think I've ever seen it packaged this way. So this is the Doobie Brothers, Best of the Doobies, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Released in 1976 and 1981. They're both greatest hits compilations packaged together. It's going to run you about $40 online. So this is a new release from Rhino Records. Like I said, I don't think I've ever seen them package both volumes together. I don't think the Doobie Brothers really kind of put it all together and hit it off until Michael McDonald came in, took over lead singing duties from Tom Johnston in 1976. So Volume 1 is a mixture of those two lead singers. Volume 2 is just stuff from the Michael McDonald era. Like I said, I don't have any other stuff in my collection. They're probably one of those bands I'm good with just a greatest hits compilation. So I'll probably grab that this week. $40 is a little pricey. So if I can grab it on sale somewhere, maybe I'll be more likely to grab a copy of it that way. So you got that coming out, and then you got the self-titled debut album from the Sugarhill Gang coming out. This came out back in 1980. This is a music on vinyl release. It's going to be on black vinyl. It's going to run you about $38 online. So Music on Vinyl released a limited colored version of this last year. It was on red vinyl. That's what Music on Vinyl does. They'll typically release like a limited release. They only did 1,000 copies of that one. And then later on down the line, they'll do a standard black version and have that be the wide release. Of course, this was the album that introduced the world to Rapper's Delight. Now, of course, Rapper's Delight came out in 79, but then this album came out in 1980. So you're getting something a little extra with this release. If you missed out on the limited version last year, this one also comes with the there's a bonus track on here, which is the 7-inch single version of Rapper's Delight. To be honest, it's the only thing I've ever heard from Sugarhill Gang. I'll stream it and check it out because I think it is available on streaming services also. Another recent release from Music on Vinyl that's getting a wider release this week is White Lion Main Attraction. This was released back in 1991. It was our fourth studio album. It's going to run you about $33 online. Like I said, this is also a Music on Vinyl release. It's going to be on black vinyl. So Music on Vinyl released this earlier this year. I think February or March when they released this. It was on silver vinyl. I think it was limited to like 2,000 copies. I have a copy of it. It sounds fantastic. I also have an original pressing from 1991. That was the big thing, is before this was released earlier this year by Music on Vinyl, it hadn't been released since the original pressing back in 91. I compared the Music on Vinyl release to the original pressing. Both of them sound really good. I don't think there's a big difference between the two. If you don't want to spend the money to get an OG pressing, I think the Music on Vinyl release is the way to go. This is an album that, it charted pretty well. It actually hit number 61 in the Billboard 200. I think it was one of those albums that had it been released a year, maybe a year and a half earlier, it probably would have done better commercially. Music was really changing by the time this album came out in 91. By the end of 91, early part of 92, grunge had really taken over, and everything else that came out before that, if it wasn't like Metallica, was kind of pushed aside along with this album. So you got that one coming out this week. Then you got the soundtrack for Napoleon Dynamite coming out. It's going to run you about $30 online. Of course, the soundtrack for the 2004 movie. It's going to be on translucent red vinyl. It's a 2 LP release celebrating its 20th anniversary. This is one of those movies where it's probably not a very popular opinion. I can't stand this movie, but the soundtrack is actually really good. So what you're getting in this soundtrack, LP1 is all music from the movie. LP2 is all dialogue. So, $30, it's not a bad release. If I can get this, is another one where if I can grab it on sale somewhere, I'll probably grab a copy of it. Because like I said, it's one of those movies where I think the soundtrack is better than the movie. I know this, like I said, probably not a very popular opinion. I know a lot of people out there that absolutely love this movie, but like I said, the soundtrack's really good. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing this week. Like I said, the only thing I really have on pre-order is that Born in the USA. I'm kind of on the fence about a lot of stuff, though. I mean, I'll probably grab that Stand Atlantic. I might grab that Wings album. There's a couple other ones I'm on the fence about, but let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing this week. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.